SIRIMANNE and his wife are struggling to cope on the first anniversary of the Easter bombings. Their 19-year-old son and 22-year-old daughter were in St. Anthony's Church praying for good results at upcoming public exams when a suicide bomber struck. It was the first of 6 locations to be hit. Within an hour, 279 people were killed and more than 500 injured.
Went from one hospital ward to the next looking for my children, but I couldn't find them anywhere. Finally, a young doctor told me, however reluctant, that I should look in the mortuary. I couldn't, so I sent a friend who was with me. He came back sobbing that my son was there. When I recovered consciousness, we got another call that my daughter had been found in another mortuary.
A little-known local Islamic extremist group called the National Tawheed Jamaat claimed responsibility for the attacks. Investigations revealed some members of the group were paid state informants, that authorities were repeatedly warned about their activities, and that some politicians had even intervened to release some of those arrested earlier. But most troubling of all, that intelligence warnings of the impending attacks had been ignored. The families of the victims want accountability.
I don't think there is any court in the world that can give me justice, because that means giving me my children back. That won't ever happen. But those who neglected their responsibilities must be punished.
The Archbishop of Colombo, Cardinal RANJITH, also criticized the negligence of the then government and the cover-up that followed. Addressing the tensions that came after the bombings, he praised his congregations for not letting emotion drive their action.
Our challenge would be to work amicably with all our fellow citizens and to ensure a spirit of true acceptance and integration.
That's an approach Sri Lanka, a Muslim human rights activist, endorses. She says the anti-Muslim sentiment which followed the bombings shook the community.
When this happened, all of a sudden we have become terrorists, actually international terrorists connected to ISS. So we were really worried about our existence in the country because the way that the entire Muslim community was blamed for what few people did was highly problematic.
Surur says Sri Lankan politicians have been engaged in hate-mongering, fueling tensions and causing division by portraying the Muslim community as the villain in recent years.
The past year hasn't eased the pain of losing loved ones here at St. Anthony's or in the other Easter bombings. Most bereaved families and others who warned of the threat of an attack say what's hardest to cope with is that they think the bombings could have been prevented if only the government had cared to do so. Minelle Fernandez, Al Jazeera, Colombo.